Le Cordon Bleu, London. Cordon Bleu is a very famous French cooking school. It's got branches all around the world. And have you ever wondered how it would be to attend one of their cooking short courses? Is it worth the time? And most importantly, is it worth the money? Because of course, they're not cheap. Well, I have, and as a consequence, I signed up to one of their courses. This Cuisine Technique Essential Evenings I signed up to is a 12-hour course divided into 4 3-hour session evenings where they go through a variety of techniques. They teach you how to use shellfish, how to use fish, how to use meat, how to cook pasta. You wonder, French pasta? Well, we're gonna find out how it is. And to be honest, I'm quite excited. I always wanted to do one of these short courses. So, shall we go? Let's go. We make our way through the London Underground all the way to St. Paul's, where Le Cordon Bleu has a restaurant called Le Cord, where the students get to, put their skill to the test. And at the bottom, on the basement of the building, there is the workshop. That's where the classes are being held, which is pretty cool. You got a big kitchen and everybody gets to have its own station. Now, we were greeted by an Italian chef that was very fitting since the first lessons was making pasta. When you arrive, they give you an apron, a dish towel, and this book. This book will have the agenda for the 4 lessons. So lesson number 1, we are making conquille Saint-Jacques, poché, fête fraîche au citron et basilic. And basically you're making homemade tagliatelle with scallops. And of course it's French, so there's going to be a lot of cream and a lot of butter. So in the first lesson you get to learn how to clean a scallop, which is quite cool. Not strictly necessary, but if you want to, level up your game, it's nice that you'll be able to clean your own stuff. And then you go and get to make fresh pasta. And I thought, I already know how to make fresh pasta, but pleasantly surprised, making it professionally in a professional kitchen, they kind of give you some extra tips to, level up your game. So all in all, first day is pretty fun. The course level, I would say, is for proficient beginners. I think if you're a beginner, you might struggle a touch. And if you know how to cook very well, then your learning opportunity is pretty slim. I mean, it's fun setting, but you learn more little techniques to do that extra step of leveling up rather than learning to cook per se, which kind of makes sense because you kind of already know how to cook. Then the following week, you go back to the workshop and you make poisson farci et rôti, pomme mousseline or roquefort, jus simple, which basically you're making chicken and potatoes. Potato mash, which is actually quite fun to learn because while people think they can do potato mash, the reality is to make really good potato mash, it's a little bit technical. And in the class, they go through how to do it, which is quite useful. And also they teach you how to cook a chicken, kind of, high-end restaurant style, which is a touch different than how we would do it at home. And in fact, I was thinking of actually making a video, a long-form video of how to make the chicken like they do it, which to be fair is better because you make sure that you cook every piece of the meat at the right temperature. Sometimes the chicken, when you make it at home, you have that the breast is really dry and the legs are fine. So it's very difficult to time it. And they cannot teach you how to deal with that, which is interesting. And then we get to day 3 and my French hasn't gotten better. So we are making filet de sole limande grenobloise. So basically you're making a lemon sole with a really tangy lemony sauce. And that's quite fun. So they give you the lemon sole, you get to learn how to prep it yourself, to skin it, to fillet it, and then prepare this fantastic dish with lemon and capers. It's actually absolutely delicious. I don't really use lemon sole very much, so getting to try to do it was actually quite interesting, and it's gonna get me to a place where I think I'm gonna add lemon sole to my diet more often. It's really delicious. By the way, a little segue here. French cuisine is very different than Italian cuisine. The techniques are very different and kind of the philosophy is very different. So in Italy, and the way I used to cook is that the ingredient is key. You try to buy the best possible ingredient, and in the recipes you try to avoid any sort of adulteration of the ingredients, so that you have a tomato, for instance, and you want to excel the flavor of the tomato. and or you got like a vegetable and you just want to blanch it and then just eat it so that all the flavors are still there. French cuisine is kind of different. French cuisine, it's very worked upon. So for instance, when we did this scallop, which were some unbelievable, top grade, very large scallops, they were actually selling for wholesale about £5 each, which is kind of crazy. You think that you want to just pan fry it and that's it, maybe some tomato, some garlic. But instead, in the French way, there's a lot to it. So there was a chicken reduction that was used to then poach the scallop. So from a philosophical cooking point of view, for me, it was a little bit alien. Having said that, it does expand your way of cooking so that in the future, I do think that I am going to include some aspects of French culture or French methodology when making my meals. And then finally, it's day 4. It kind of flew by because I've got to say, every evening, even though it was Friday night, which is not the ideal time, were actually pretty fun. You get to mingle with the teacher, with the chef, you get to mingle with the other students, and it's actually really, really fun. So day 4, last Friday, we are making côtelette d'agneau poulet, gratin dauphinoise, sauce à la moutarde de Meaux. Translation: we're making lamb chop, we're making dauphinoise potato, which are super good, and then we have a little mustard sauce. So this was actually one of my most favorite recipe. I love lamb. I actually don't cook it very much, but when I do, I absolutely adore it. Here they teach you how to prep lamb chop to make potato dauphinoise, which are, very indulgent. Of course, they're heavy. There's cream, it's garlicky. It's actually quite nice. And to be honest, and it's not something that springs to my mind when I make a meat dish, just because kind of it's a French meal. But now that I've retasted it after a long time, I've actually made it twice more since I did the class. So, that was a big win for me. And also, you learn how to use more reductions to flavor them with mustard, with herbs. It's actually really, really fun. So what did I think overall of the course? First of all, I had a lot of fun, which I think is the main thing. Did I learn a lot? Probably if you are a more experienced cook, then on something which is like this one about the essentials, you probably don't learn a lot because you already know quite a few, but you do level up some of your game. I think this, for somebody that is introduced to cooking or is being introduced to cooking, is fantastic because it gets you really like a good foundation. Now, I can see myself going back and doing some of their specialty courses. So they've got courses on, Peruvian cuisine, which I absolutely adore, but I've done the odd ceviche, but I don't know the theory, the culture really of that cuisine. Or they have lessons about French patisserie, which again is not my forte. I would love to try to do that. Or they have lessons about Indian cuisine. So I can see myself going back to some of the specialty things where you get to learn and use spices and use ingredients you would not otherwise be normally using in your day-to-day. So that's quite cool as a way to expand your repertoire. And I think the courses are expensive. And this course, I think, was £425, which of course is a big expense. But then again, it does get you to a stage where if you're not used to cooking, gets you comfortable to cooking. And at the end of the day, eating well means living well. So £450, if it gets you to start cooking and eating better and doing less takeaways, it's a win-win. I really do suggest you check out the Cordon Bleu classes. Of course, this is not sponsored by the Cordon Bleu. You can actually think about sponsoring me, but anyway, book them early because they get filled up really quickly. And I hope you enjoy it.